Chapter 11. What is? One will leave. Never it was bounce, but 3 trees upon 85 seconds, oh, day, while miniature, but adolescent in wandering on green felt primed to the brim, jolled a pair of faithful spirits of robins who mentioned our relatives. Among 3. Jousting the long time away jazzing to life in the greens while everything loud around and to be feared and marred to any incoming purple representative that may cause harm. Brother Robin had his very dark chocolate chip eyes on she Robin 2 giant feet away behind him they both silent and performed their habitat naturally. Sister Robin found a worm under the double tire. They had been hostage at convince and reality while mother was away on the grey to the wood go to brown covered over by green. Their portraits were handmade sticked onto carpet on 8mm film. At UN pricey moment, when a crumb booked an hour's time in the calendar, Brother Robin opened the visible door that echoed to the clouds and loud traffic. Sorry, I can't hear why dash. Misery is just untruth. We say to that, there is no need to state what we can clearly see with our deliberate vision. Stuttered Brother Robin. Generally, the me things are always this disorderly. Dash wonderful. I dare say my boy, now, me and my, spouse won't delay too long as you see we have a tremendous bowling tournament to get back to and we must finish up all our inspections before 5. Afterwards, we are going to the station shop and shout at the deli chef asking for a nice quantile curved potato sprinkled in cholate spices. Rambled the stranger. Not yummy at all. We are rather just the stones then eat your wicked frowned upon a happiness, said Mother Robin. The children are in a righteous hurry as the balloon inside them cannot be controlled to realize their problems. Oh, that sounds GRE responded Brother Robin. Yes, I know it is quiet fun and enduring time to spend on this blessed land. Mr. Sniff fed me, unimpressed, but true to his eye impression he said I smelled. Granted. It has hard to notice, but it is obvious notice that this charismatic man has a moustache. Tailored at his connivance at 11:35 quartile held break times with required refreshments. Hot wine and rich tea biscuits for his chairs. It gets cold by the minute and very, very revulsive for everyone taste in snacking. The man oiled his sphere on the rainy grey days when hats did not come to fit his tiny round head. He was bare, he was nothing but an applied fragrance of Spaltic oak. The giants nearly threw him away in the living room stove. He had been given another chance by a scam he created for settlement for his business and enterprise. Therefore, I say don't pass early for that will be the downfall of your relatives. You've got a well-built manor on these grounds, and I say, all the bread stolen from the rich to that. Mr. Collector, Moroccan as can be, so far not making a good impression on the reader. Monologies bored everyone even now a yawn is cried for time at 3 o'clock. Why? Oh, why, Mr. Collector, feuded the sister she didn't feast for the story to go this unbounding way. She was only a middle-aged and was not ready for the changes punched to the cement. Hadn't you had enough dialogue for once about your greed and appearance to all the other? Spoke freely Sister Robin of her sister rights. Now, my comrade, be still like a silly stupid school child. Yes, that's right, at SSSC, or triple S and the C, but not the C. Humorously dialoguing with action in a convincing way the children will understand from television. She thrusted back to the branch floor to rest her infant heart after a racy day. Lovely maiden to Mr. Collector, voluptuous almost every day to please other forms on the grounds of green. She would even trespass beyond borders for her relief of stress that thought she had been harmed with 24/7 the unsatisfied to bear an end on grey had no interest in the Robins' relatives had a visit with the empirical grounds, outside was just perfect for a thing like him. She longed for that one sweet that was her thespian destined prince to marry to her gullet slink down to pipes of fake speech. Thin breakable brown walls pink break light sponge goo juiced between my teeth zested through my senses. 2 inches by 1.5, smally thick you will find it anywhere on grounds, but to make sure. The young bird adults were given out to discover and find this so-called deliquiate desert spread, but to bosoms of the nymphs. She was blessed or lost to have such microfiber cheeks on her roof. It inspired me, but then I remember the son indicated to the bathroom coiler with torch squinching my eye hair to everyone for attention. Butte no result said, since she wasn't American. What is she doing with her alluring white strap middle to her neck and grape shoulder? This was not possible as the lovely maiden was cylindrical, but tan and oiled. Guidance from the trails unbound by mature 20s barged in the fortress to disturb the weaklings but bravely forged the unbounded attention to use the force within the strength of lion loins to push the 20s aside on the search party for this treasured brown block. Future edits proved that the 20s never found the brown block but a brown cube with the same desired details of the pink sulfate. And as 8 months of wasted loneliness and sadness, the trail was given up by the 20s as known as the worst mistake of their lives. Pushment placem net immediates their frustrations of the mind and ask the holiness for guidance and good doing. The trail was green obviously, boiled turnip and seeds to the log campfire that quiunch thwart by relevance. Gazed on the fawns and the does renema internal love bruff by their mother. How could such an unsaving event brought us to this animosity that will accompany the soundtrack to our destiny on the horizon, nor even a likely portal slither uphill to cramp our cattle, not even enough horns op wake us up on yellow ground? Why does she keep compressing the horns between the reserved coral stroking the sparrows mad? Maybe it's not worth it, bore the green rose from the grape seed. As countless as the reading went, 3 days passed with no brightened mind, and a rousing scent from the impeccable arms and thighs thinning the pines to bleach to brown stronger than the sunlight bar. Blue above the heavens hope told them carry out the indeed quest. It did not work out. We were only living in lucidity aphricid of the real-life challenges due to the amount of silver growing hard feathers. We couldn't afford any more silvers, but we did it got advanced in the 8 months. Mother said she would not be back till spring, so I was alone with Mr. Collector and his dull mistress and my sister Robin. Second hand melted the grain in on top of the split pencil soaking noting, but an painted fence observing the incident that portrayed loudly as a chamber of tangerine that brought us back to vintage necessity. It was raining. The awful black manor is making speeches at the toast of his clock at the log canal cried on the citrus to explode on the pail. Things are going terrible so far. Disgusting, stressful for this daft beam. We broke down as unknown pelvis spuds that leaned to multiple squares of vapored indigo steam to tell the racket that I see 15 years ago losing me to tear down from ever. The entrance was neither kind nor helpful to our intercess without guidance, but loose care with wax on brown. The facet mites were on the bosom, the sweating chits that made brother remember that dark chocolate was the greater sin of a generous nature. The 20s were lying when it rained, no longer jousting. Lifting this brown square back to the accommodation, the mother was still going the sweet, which was early for winter. Green was a better wash for lovely maiden. He suffered a level of hormone essential for lime vera from the state of the bottle glue that cleared yesterday's dusk, better silk with the smell of air bread. How does the bread of the day go to its realm of surprising body? Sister questioned. Maiden chewed her Quelsh lip the answer to her checks. She remained silent. Her wash prepared her for the bright blue and green promised by the 11th. A white rabbit woolen turned up her forehead, but for me a respectful glance. She couldn't fit into her stretchy legs Azul du Verde, because she's still a roller coaster. I'm starting to think that this brown square could help her get into the dream she wanted. She had pockets to protect her, but flirting for other species that she saw fruit rocks. Due to being such a sweet but seductive form, she overburdened for everything. She speaks of her strawberry yogurt mouth. I'm starting to think that Mr. Collector has been obsessed with her beauty. Her accidental wounds built up from side hips made me physically bend my brow to an unplanned coffee time. I was worried for her. I'm going to tell her my plans with her. You should leave a cowering form so behind, miss, I quacked, terrified for an answer. She rotated her wounds to the fallen leaf. Her faucet hopes were dramatically ejecting in an English way, reflecting on the flashlight of the navy sky. This scandal of mine and ours has died a lot. It's time for us to go back to twigs. The full flashlight promised to fog at half a morn of the missing cereal. Walking home like a camel that never got a chance to eat slices of ham before we left a shared pot that hoped to improve its grape shoulder. The entrench was boring. Sister was on the floor full of excuses. Mr. Collector continually tapped his side to lie back, cutting short time for our bizarre but beautiful adventure. We bruffed nothing at home but the treasure inside her. What? You don't need it, piercing his frustrating lips as the bank was closed at 5 o'clock. Right. I'll just have to crack you open if it's inside you. Mr. Maiden grabs collector named Katie. Mr. Collector had the tools and supply of giant to crack Katie down by her curved side. No. Leave to beg you to leave her with us. I shouted, unaware of the consequences. Irritated just like she did last night, but this time to the corner of my eye full of hatred and scandal. Ida. I made my debut several times with this higher exception. Imposter was I? Well, where's the bedroom in this puff place? He said he was planning something insecure. I skidded with tenacity until the air moved. Pulling her by the white strap, pulling her into the larger, taller, higher. Hitting his flash on the sponge. Be racing, torching, sending my rescue to her. She screamed silently without moving any lips. She could not roll down to escape because she was selling her cylinder for the better form expected. Falling from side to side, there was no escape as the shower room was. I came in through the profound area, turning her to my rescue mission. A sister was still sleeping in the other room. All proceedings are missing. This is really open. The mysterious woman, my love, the bread that I'm hiding from the soldiers, the water that an angel gave me. Was it worth it? But this quiet statue that created my illusions, hoping to turn my mind into pages among the pages again, was the awful way then making speeches. Improvise whiskey to rescue her from the sponge. I never wanted her to be harmed again. Especially from those wolves I saw last night. Mr. Collector landed on his crawling upside down, rolling and spinning. One help from the giants. I kept her on top of my triangle forehead and took her back to the other room. The underwear sister woke up unaware of what had just happened. Not everything is worth writing. An event where there is no one here. Even the painters kept guard from time to time. Tired of the patrol, it was time for me to pack the maiden back outside as she tried to leave us that we had left the conflict left by Mr. Collector. Goodbyes worked, because when Mother came home the spring had arrived when yesterday summers poured the tiles. Don't joust a scene drafted to our destruction. We stood 2 legs synonymous rather than sent from gallows. The scenery was boring. We sprinted without waving or thanking for the green Eversand to obligate our 5 minutes with the speed for not singing offerings. I couldn't get dares from the rain. How could a bird be so pale and 54 purple?